When people hear the word homeless, a variety of thoughts may run through their head. Maybe things like pity, fear, disgust. Or maybe they think things like mental illness, addiction, or troublemaker. There's so much stigma surrounding homelessness. But what people should be thinking about is the wealth of knowledge and experience that this community has to offer all of us. Hey friends! Welcome back to Simply Bentley, where I teach you how to live your best life using mindfulness, self-care, and positive living. Today I want to share with you a few things that I learned in the process of making my video for World Kindness Day. If you didn't catch that video, I will link it below, but it's about a lady who goes by Miss Julie, who connects with donors and homeless people to provide needed supplies for the homeless community. Throughout making that video, Miss Julie generously allowed me to come along with her as she met with the homeless people and really allowed me a chance to get to know some of these people. And I had no idea what a profound impact that meeting these people was going to have on me. As we stood in the cold together, one thing that I noticed over and over again is how the homeless community is exactly that. It is a community. All around me were people from all walks of life, and despite never having seen me before, they weren't sure if I was homeless, so I was asked over and over again if I would like to step in front of people in order to get the supplies that Miss Julie was offering. I wasn't treated as a stranger or an outsider. I was treated as equal to everyone else, which is remarkable because some people can't walk into certain churches and not feel like an outsider. There was one huge contrast to what a lot of people tend to think about others who might be in a disadvantaged situation and how those people actually behave. And that is that they never took more than they needed. I'm going to say it louder for those of you in the back. Despite their situation, these people were not looking to freeload. They were not looking to hoard supplies. They literally only took enough to meet their needs. There's this idea that keeps being perpetuated about homeless or disadvantaged communities that they're looking to freeload or get a handout. But the truth of the matter is they are only looking to meet their needs because of a gap in services that fail to assist them. And they only take enough to make up for that gap. The homeless community also taught me a lot about privilege. However, when most people think of privilege of social class, they think of kids of billionaires who go to elite private schools and drive a BMW out of the driveway when they turn 16. And while that privilege certainly exists, even to a gross degree, there's a certain amount of privilege that comes with something as simple as having a place to live. Sadly, it's become a privilege to be indoors when it's raining, when it's snowing, and while many cities have winter warming centers, there are still hours-long gaps in the day where those centers aren't open, or sometimes the centers don't even open for the season until after the weather has turned. It's also a privilege to have access to a restroom pretty much any time that you need one. One complaint that's often heard about the homeless community, at least locally, is their choice of where they relieve themselves. Okay, if there are not restrooms available to them, where are they supposed to go? I know here locally that there have been several petitions to add just 2 porta potties to where the homeless people in our area spend most of their days. And yet every time it's deemed as unnecessary. Unnecessary. Okay. And finally, the homeless community taught me a crazy amount about perspective, both my own and theirs. While I did know that there are so many things that can cause homelessness, a lot of people tend to chalk it up to mental illness or laziness or addiction, but this couldn't be further from the truth. It's things like access to affordable housing or physical illness that leads to missed work, that leads to missed rent. It's also things like layoffs or attempting to escape domestic violence. I met a homeless veteran who became too ill to work, which unfortunately led to homelessness. And even though there are programs to help veterans pay for housing, there simply was not enough housing available that he would qualify for. So the next time that you see a homeless person, check yourself. Check your assumptions and offer a little bit of grace. Something that was also interesting was the perspective of the community. While nobody was proud to be there, because I got told many times like this is not a situation or a time in my life that I'm proud of, they did make sure to find humor in the little things. They teased me about sending my husband off in the cold because I was wearing one of his coats. They made jokes about their own situation, and then they laughed about some underwear that Miss Julie was handing out. How many times do those of us who don't have half the worries that these homeless folks do go through our day acting like a bunch of curmudgeons and neglect to be grateful for literally all of the things that we have to enjoy? One last thing about perspective. Sometimes we forget what a profound impact that our actions have on other people around us. When I was getting in my car and getting ready to leave, there was one guy, we're gonna call him Tim, and Tim was watching from across the street. I had approached him earlier and we had talked, and I had asked him if he wanted to be in my video, and he got really suspicious of me, like, what are you up to? And can you blame him? There's a crazy white lady with a camera phone. How often does that turn out positive? When he saw that I noticed him across the street, watching me get in my car, he kind of laughed and started to come over. So I got out of my car and we talked for a few minutes, and he had so many questions, and he probably figured it was going to be his last opportunity to be able to ask them. And, there was some small talk, but finally he spit it out. He wanted to know what my motives were. He wanted to know why I would care to stand out in a middle of a crowd of a bunch of homeless people and document their stories. He said, you see it on the news often enough, so why does it matter? People don't care when they see it on the news. And I said, yeah, but on the news, it's portrayed as more us privileged people and them homeless people. Where the news often portrays it as a separate situation, I wanted to show the lives of these homeless people. I wanted to show that they are just like us. And his only counter to that was, but wasn't I freezing? And I said, well, aren't you freezing? It had been so long since this young man had been treated like anyone's equal that it shocked him to think that somebody would care enough and care at all about his story. He had no idea how to process this information. How you treat people and how you talk to them on a routine basis, that affects how people see themselves. When someone is routinely subjected to being talked down to and treated as less than a human, sometimes that information gets inside their head and they even start to believe these terrible yet untrue things about themselves. So anytime that you're in a position to create a hierarchy, to make yourself above someone else, don't do it. Show the person in this situation that they matter and make a difference to them. Because we have so many opportunities to make a difference in the world around us, and sometimes it starts with just talking to people as if they're actually human. So I hope this video gave you some perspective on ways that we can be aware of the opportunities for kindness that we encounter every single day. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, good vibes when you subscribe, and I'll see you next Tuesday for another video. See you later.